And I'd like to give you a little preview of what's coming up this week in Unit 6, and just to talk real briefly about what we've had in Unit 5. Unit 5, I'll start there. We looked at things about the value of a franchise to a city, and a little bit things about the valuation of franchises, what teams are worth, how to calculate that. And one of the biggest things I think we can come away with is that it's a very imprecise science, that figures can be skewed many different ways. There are many ways of looking at the whole issue, but often we see that teams in particular are very, very good at telling us what their value is, why we should be there, why we should have this team, well, why you need us, why, Mr. City Government, you should invest millions in the infrastructure to keep us here. It's a very interesting concept. It's very controversial, and I think what I'd like to do later this week, as we backed off and allowed you to work on your midterm assignment last week, maybe get some of your opinions on what that whole situation is. We frequently see teams almost holding cities hostage and saying, you know what, build me a stadium or I'm leaving. And part of their logic is, here's what we're worth to you. Well, my question to you is, are they really worth that much? Did they prove to you their worth? Are they worth that much to the economy of that city at that time? So we'll do some backtracking midweek. Looking ahead now, the new material this week, chapters 8 and 9. These go into the labor market for sports, and you're going to see some interesting observations. I don't want you to get hung up in all the economist material. There's a lot of it there, a lot of things about, well, you'll just see a lot of charts, graphs, formulas, all great stuff. What I really want you to do is to look at some of the historical references and some of the kind of anecdotal references, where the chapter starts out talking about two great fighters, Oscar de la Hoya and Joe Louis, both fought for too long. Why? Economics had a lot to do with it. Look at some of those things. Look at the concepts of the marginal production of a player and what are they worth to somebody. Who's the seller and who's the buyer? This comes in again, this whole concept of monopsony, which is kind of monopoly turned upside down. We'll also discuss at the end of this a little bit of things where we call like rank order tournaments. Rank order tournaments are real simple. We just saw the Masters conclude kind of an exciting fashion this afternoon, but the winner takes home a lot more than second place. Is this fair? Well, this one was really close. People were really bunched up. A lot of guys were really slugging it out at the end. But you know, the gap between first and second place in terms of prize money is exactly the same whether the winner won by 1 shot, 2 shots, or 10 shots. Is this a fair way to look at things? This is the kind of thing we need to discuss as we go into the labor market for sports. And then throughout the week, I'm going to try to bring in some materials about the current NFL situation, which I think we have just an ongoing laboratory. The daily sports news is full of stuff out there that can explain a lot to us about the labor market for sports, and we're going to see it at work. So keep your eyes open. The questions will come up. We're going to be spending a lot of emphasis on the discussion board this week and next. I hope you had fun with the NBA owner assignment. I think that may have been a little bit of a challenge to stay, as I keep reminding us, in the perspective of an economist or an owner rather than the perspective of a fan. But that's the challenge we all face. It's an emotional issue, and sometimes it's work to separate our emotions from our an analytical side. So keep up with the PowerPoints and the readings in Leeds and Von Allman, and I'll be talking to you later this week. Thank you.